If you will it, it is no dream. After coming up just short of the program's third state championship the year before, that's exactly what the 1986 Cougars baseball team set out to do. In what had become a clockwork annual tradition, COC won the Mountain Valley Conference Championship and made a trip back to the state title game in 1985, eventually finishing runner-up to Cerritos College. But instead of being proud of those accomplishments, the loss left a bad taste in the mouths of both the players and the coaches for College of the Canyons, especially Frank Halkovich. COC assistant coach Len Money remembers Halkovich, the 1985 Conference and State Player of the Year, using the loss as motivation leading up to that spring.
He cut out the article, reminding everybody the whole year how we lost in '85. He pitched to hit that year like he was on a mission. Him and Darren Beer together that year in 1986, I believe, was like 26-1.
Halkovich and Beer were chief among the players that simply would not accept anything less than a state title in 1986. And that was the prevailing mood in the clubhouse all fall and winter as the Cougars prepared for the upcoming season. Once again, expectations were high, as most expected Canyons would be competing for at least a conference championship and probably another 3C2A state title. And that was due in large part to the talented roster that head coach Mike Gillespie and Money had assembled.
There was no doubt when we started that year that that was our goal. It was something that we were going to not be denied.
Halkovich pitched to a perfect 15-0 record in 1986 and led the team in strikeouts. Freshman hurler Darren Beer won 14 more games as the number 2 starter, while fellow freshmen Jeff Ward and Chris Savatsky rounded out the all-right-handed starting rotation for the Cougars. In the bullpen, it was Charlie Peralt, Bob Bowman, Craig Reed, Kevin Miner, Sandy Shreeden, and Orlando Cepeda Jr. filling in a variety of spot start and relief roles. As great as the pitching staff was, the Cougars' starting lineup and collection of reserves, chalked with talent and valuable versatility, was nearly an equal rival. Sophomores Pete Kolde and Scott Drury both split time behind the plate and at first base, with Gillespie never wanting either of their bats out of the lineup. Halkovich served as the DH. Victor Sotelo primarily manned second base. Don Erickson returned to play shortstop, and Andy Cunchell handled third. In the outfield, it was a combination that usually included Joe Piper or Alex Vasquez in left field, Bobby Clark patrolling in center, and the rocket-armed Chris Cota in right. Reserves Mike Savanky, John Schmidt, Mitch Gillespie, Leonard Hokinson, and Mike Gomez all remained ready to go when called upon.
Those guys played hard for Mike. They knew that he had his back. He always had their back. And you could take the lineup.
That lethal combination of talent on the mound, at the plate, and in the dugout helped the Cougars to big wins over perennial state title contenders Cerritos, Rancho Santiago, Long Beach, and LA Valley, to name a few in the early going. In fact, it may have been the losses that were more memorable, only because they were so few.
You know how they talk about run differential? I mean, there was numerous games where we beat people 20-3, 20-4. I mean, the word had it was we could have won a Division I conference if we'd have had one more pitcher.
Indeed, Canyons finished the year an impressive 41-6, still the best record in school history to date, while winning its 4th straight conference championship. Halkovich was once again the Conference Player of the Year and was joined by Beer, Kolde, Drury, Erickson, Clark, Sotelo, and Cota in earning all Mountain Valley Conference honors. Halkovich also won his 2nd straight State Player of the Year award, the first player in 3C2A history to do so. Kolde, who set program records with 17 home runs and 71 combined hits, and Erickson, with his program record 50 RBI season, were honored with all state accolades. But more than the Cougars' ability on the field or the collective baseball acumen of Gillespie and Money, it was the hard-nosed, team-first attitude that the club embodied that served them the most.
It was a group of guys that, first of all, could play baseball. Second of all, we got along pretty good. Strength training has changed nowadays, but I'll tell you what, when it comes to just being baseball players, I haven't seen too many teams like that.
Canyons revisited recent history with a quick 2-0 series victory over LA Harbor in the 1986 SoCal Regionals, the same Harbor program Canyons defeated to win its 1981 and 1983 state championships. Now, COC would be playing in the state championship tourney for the 5th time in 6 years, an impressive run of success that is yet to be matched by anyone across the state since. "We all want a ring," Kolde told reporters after the wins over LA Harbor, If you win the state, you get a ring. Canyons was joined by Butte, Merced, Sacramento City, San Mateo, Long Beach City, San Diego Mesa, and Rancho Santiago Canyon, formerly known as Santa Ana. The double elimination state tournament hosted at Blair Field in Long Beach. In the opener, COC got past Butte College 5-3 behind Andy Cutshall's clutch 7th-inning home run. In the next round, Halkovich flexed his muscle in leading the Cougars to a 10-0 shutout win over Sacramento City. Canyons suffered a brief detour on its road to the state title game with a crushing 11-6 loss to Rancho Santiago Canyon and put COC in the losers bracket. Now, if the state title was going to be claimed, the Cougars would need to win 3 games in a span of roughly 18 hours. The Cougars bounced back with a 4-1 elimination game win over Long Beach City later that day, with Savatsky picking up his 2nd win of the tourney. The following morning, Halkovich was back on the mound for a rematch with Rancho Santiago Canyon. COC put together a gutsy 7-6 victory to set up one final showdown with the Dons. In a game that would require an extra frame to complete, Canyons eventually achieved its goal of winning a state championship behind some timely hitting and a standout relief appearance from Darren Beer, who shut down the Dons lineup across the final 6 2/3 innings. Canyons had built an early 5-1 lead on RBI hits from Erickson and Sotelo before Halkovich and Colt both scored runs. Colts coming on a big collision that knocked the Rancho Santiago catcher out of the game. Drury then ripped a home run, his 3rd of the tournament, for what felt like a comfortable lead. But the tide eventually shifted in favor of the Dons, and after 9 innings, the game remained tied at 5. With 2 on in the top of the 10th inning, Canyons saw both its runners advance on a passed ball by the Dons catcher. When a second ball got away later in the sequence, Cota came home to score with Clark following close behind, taking a 7-5 advantage. 3 outs later, College of the Canyons had been crowned state champions once again. "I'd put that team up against anybody," said Gillespie. "I don't remember having a team as consistent as this one has been." As for where the team ranks in the all-time history of College of the Canyons baseball,
81 was a great team, 83 was a great team, but no way. No way. 86 by far the best team that's ever been here.